Hey guys, Paul here. Why are bees dying? I've been doing a lot of reading on this topic recently. I observe honeybees and bumblebees where I live in New England. I photograph them, taking close-up photographs like this image here of a honeybee gathering pollen in a dandelion flower. I notice tons of bees where I live, honeybees and bumblebees. And I'm reading reports around the East Coast that are also, people are also finding a lot of these bees, especially in gardens that nurture bees and provide the habitat for them. Yet beekeepers are reporting that their honeybees are dying on an order of 40 to 50% within the past couple years. And why is that? Well, most articles are citing the reason to being climate change. However, climate change often invokes a political agenda, and considering that bees are most active from 70 degrees Fahrenheit, roughly 20 degrees Celsius, and warmer, if you notice, you can catch bees when they're dormant in the early morning hours, below those temps. It seems to me that global warming and climate change is not responsible for bees dying, and that's just a political message. This is my opinion from my studies and the reading that I've done. Pesticides certainly kill bees, and the proliferation of factory farms is definitely using more pesticides. It's probably killing more bees, as is loss of habitat potentially, as suburbs encroach and take away wildflower area and shrubbery, bushes. Those are the habitat of bees. So suburbs encroaching is going to take away from that. There's also parasitic mites on the scene in the past 20 years that have decimated bee populations. And there's a couple different forms of parasitic mites that kill bees. However, from what I've read, these mites would not be enough to justify the huge decline in honeybee and bumblebee populations. So perhaps it's really a combination of factors, from pesticides, perhaps loss of habitat, and the mites all coalescing in reducing these bees. That's the best that I can come up with. Now, bees are a multi-billion-dollar industry because that's how much farmers pay to bring in bees to pollinate their crops, and that's how much value the bees give to those crops. Billions, tens of billions of dollars a year globally. This is a huge industry. These bees are very important to our infrastructure. In reading about bees, you're going to read about climate change. Now, I'm not saying that climate change is not real. I believe climate change is real, and that fossil fuels are killing our planet, especially our air. If you live east of the Mississippi or in Southern California in the United States, or any of the urban centers in the U.S., the Great Lakes, Chicago, Milwaukee, Detroit, and you go to airnow.gov, it's a website, airnow.gov, you'll see your air quality on any given day. And in the summer, here in the Northeast, our air quality is really bad in the summer. And most days we're living under unhealthy particulate matter in the air that gets into our lungs and our bloodstream and creates heart disease, pulmonary disorders. And this is global. This is happening all over Europe. China, of course, they can't breathe. And so global warming is real. I just don't think that it's killing off the bees en masse. However, I want to make a point that global warming is real, and especially with affecting our air quality and potentially water as well. California, you don't have any water out there, or it's drying up big time. And here's my political statement in closing out this video. We need an energy source that's clean and can power cities. I'm not talking little farms running on windmills or a little solar grid. down in the Southwest or the Sahara Desert, that's great. But solar doesn't work in the New England states or the Pacific Northwest. And I've talked to people in the industry, in the solar tech industry, and their clients are in Arizona, they're in Israel, they're not in Maine, Vermont, Minnesota, Washington State. They're just not. So that's not viable. We need to turn to nuclear energy. Advancements in modern nuclear energy have improved greatly, and it's just up to the corporations and the infrastructure and the lobbyists and all the interests to invest in modern nuclear facilities. It's the only way we're going to power cities and states and the whole world in a clean energy situation and reverse what's taking place as far as the pollution that's affecting our planet. No matter where you are in the world, I have lots of viewers in the US, Canada, the UK, Germany. If you're over 30, 40 years old, you've noticed changes in your environment. I live in New England, in the Northeast USA. We never had ticks growing up when I was a kid. These days, ticks are all over the place. Lyme disease is rampant. I know several people who have contracted Lyme disease in Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. You never had a tick in those states 30 years ago. So it's real. Post your comments below on what you've observed where you live. And thanks for watching, you guys. Subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you real soon.